Well, Vladimir Putin says the prosecution of Donald Trump is all political. That's something we've also been hearing from Donald Trump. Now, the former president is asking the federal judge overseeing his 2020 election subversion case to recuse herself. Now, according to a filing yesterday, Trump alleges Judge Tanya Chutkan previously made comments that, quote, unavoidably taint these proceedings regardless of outcome. One of the statements citing in that filing reads, the people who exhorted you and encouraged you and rallied you to go and take action and to fight have not been charged. The issue of who has or has not been charged is not before me. I don't have any influence on that. I have my opinions, but they are not relevant. That's what she told a Capitol riot defendant during a sentencing hearing back in 2021.
So Trump's lawyers argue statements like those and others mean she should not be able to hear this case against Trump. They add, only if this trial is administered by a judge who appears entirely impartial could the public ever accept the outcome as justice. Senior legal analyst Elie Honig is here with us. I know recusals don't happen often in situations like this. There are other statements that are interesting that she's made. Things like when she said last year, it's a blind loyalty to one person who, by the way, remains free to this day, talking about, you would think, Trump. What do you think?
So this is an extreme long shot, legally speaking, but you can see where Donald Trump's coming from. It's not an outrageous motion when you see various statements that Judge Chutkan has made in the course of handling the prosecutions and sentencings of other January 6 rioters. She has said things that seem to pretty clearly suggest that she believed years ago Donald Trump should have been charged, should have been held accountable. And she was essentially making the point at these sentencings that, yes, you're being prosecuted, rightly so, for storming the Capitol, but more responsible people are not. The problem, however, with Donald Trump's argument legally is that, A, it's really hard to get a judge to recuse himself or herself, and B, you can't base a recusal motion for the most part on something that a judge said during a court proceeding. Basically, because that's a judge's job. They have to take all the evidence in front of them, make decisions, make determinations, sometimes about the relative culpability of other people. And so the Supreme Court has basically said, if you're trying to recuse a judge, you have to do it based on something outside of whatever she said in the scope of an actual case in court.
Judge Chutkan asked the Justice Department to respond. Is that normal in this case? How is this supposed to work?
Yeah, typically, if there's a recusal motion, you'd want to hear what the other side has to say. I'm fairly certain DOJ will object to this and say you should stay on the case. You don't have the kind of bias or prejudice that needs to require your recusal. So that's what I expect DOJ to weigh in as.
So also, you've got different case here. Trump is asking the judge overseeing the Georgia election subversion case to dismiss the charges. We were texting about this a little earlier because I'm like, Elie, on what grounds? So Elie, on what grounds?
On all of the grounds. This is what happens in any multi-defendant case. They all want to piggyback off each other. There's nothing wrong with that. But basically, any one defendant wants to make sure if any of the other defendants succeeds on any particular point, you get a part of that benefit as well. So you'll see them all start filing motions saying, I join in everyone else's motions. The specific grounds here that Rudy Giuliani has brought that Donald Trump is joining in is basically attacking the indictment. What they say is there's not a crime here. Yes, it's labeled RICO, but it's really just a conglomeration of actions that maybe some find offensive, but that are not actually crimes in and of themselves. The problem is ultimately that's a question for a jury. But I don't think that's going to lead to a pre-trial dismissal.
I don't think the RICO statute in Georgia says that they all have to be crimes. They all have to contribute to an overall conspiracy.
Right. There has to be a criminal object. But yes, each act, there's 161 acts laid out in here. Each of them does not have to be a crime unto itself. What Giuliani and now Trump are arguing is even if you take them and add them all together, a bunch of pennies added up don't add up to $1. If you take 50 pennies, don't add up to $1.
But 100 do.
100 do. 161 do.
That's at Rutgers education right
Elie Honig, thank you.
I aced math.
Thanks, buddy.